Citadel's guilty ones locked up. They're now leading possible ID on one of Mal's is Vinnie Sullivan. Sorry, if you would.
Look at you. For the old bill? Yeah. All right.
It's about time these commie bastards had a good idea of what the will of the British people is with Brexit. All right, that's about it for now. Alexander Sangmore, over and out. Toodles for now, gentlemen.
It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.
Citadel's guilty ones locked up. They're now leading possible ID on one of Mal's is Vinnie Sullivan. Sorry, if you would.
Look at you. For the old bill? Yeah. All right. Hello, ladies and gents. I thought I'd have a modest entrance as ever. I'm going to be a little bit outspoken and then I'm going to take some time off, I think, and I'm going to explain why. From what I see, things are untrustworthy and problematic. In the last few weeks, problems have certainly got worse, to say the least. Before I go on to divulge on what I mean, please give this a share. By the way, the name of that tune, for those that are wondering, let me go get it for you. I don't usually use those sort of upbeat tunes for my intros. Usually it's very cultural, you know, British or English, Irish, Welsh, Scottish music, you know, something to really give us a good think about our indignant history. But that tune was by Max Braun, Brhon, and it was called Humanity. But I also uploaded that one on my channel a moment ago. Yes, I do all the editing myself, and I know it's not impressive. I only did that on phone, on the iPhone app. I just whipped that together for the streams. So anyway, give us a share. Before we do anything, we're going to quickly listen to something, and then we're going to have a good moan. This video I'm about to play is to silence many people out there that are still in support of the man on our £5 notes. The man that many people were putting themselves at risk to defend the statue of, which is Winston Churchill. Now, be ready to be pissed off if you're a massive Winston Churchill fan. Right, let me go get this for you. Is my audio okay? Am I coming through okay? Right, brilliant. Okay, then I'll carry on. Right, sir. What was I going to get for you? That was it. Let me go to the video itself, and then I'll share my screen. But this is just a passage from Churchill himself, from a book called An Idea Conquers the World. And this is the foreword from Mr. Churchill, Sir Winston Spencer Churchill, which is included in one of Kalergi's books. There's many people that say the Kalergi scriptures, if you like, aren't true. They try and say that it's all rubbish, it's bollocks, and Churchill was the good guy. But in fact, they're heavily entwined, and one only proves the other. So let's play. I don't know if I actually shared with volume. So the pink thing in the middle is the book itself. That should be on your screen now. So ignore the thumbnail. The middle bit is the book itself, if you're looking at the screen. So don't ask me, where's the proof? There's the book. You can Google that right now. It says right there on the book what this is. Right? So anyway, let's get on with it. This is 3 minutes, and to be honest, the language that they use, I wouldn't blame anyone for not really understanding it. But for those that do, all this is, I'm only going to play it because this is the words of Churchill in favor of Kalergi, a man that wanted to deplete the white race because we were too warlike and, quote, mongrelize Europe. Anyway, let's go on.
An idea conquers the world. Written by Richard Nikolaus Agiro von Coudenhove-Kalergi. Narrated by Alexander Sangmore. The introductory foreword to An Idea Conquers the World is written by the Right Dishonourable Sir Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill. Ideas are born as sparks fly upwards. They die from their own weakness. They are whirled away by the wind. They are lost in the smoke. They vanish in the darkness of the night. Someone throws another log of trouble and effort, and fresh myriads of sparks stream ineffectually into the air. Men have always tended these fires, casting into them the fruits of their toil, indeed, all they can spare after keeping body and soul together. Sometimes, at rare intervals, something exciting results from their activities. Among innumerable sparks that flash and fade away, there now and again gleams one that lights up not only the immediate scene, but the whole world. So when the idea of the United States of Europe drifted off upon the wind and came in contact with the immense accumulation of muddle, waste, particularism, and prejudice which had long lain piled up in the European garden, it became quite evident that a new series of events had opened. The resuscitation of the pan-European idea is largely identified with Count Coudenhove-Kalergi. Form of his theme may be crude, erroneous, and impracticable, but the impulse and the inspiration are true. The movement towards European solidarity, which has now begun, will not stop until it has effected tremendous and possibly decisive changes in the whole life, thought, and structure of Europe. It does not follow even that this progress will be gradual. It may leap forward in a huge bound on spontaneous conviction. It may even prove to be the surest means of lifting the mind of European nations out of the ruck of old feuds and ghastly revenges. It may afford a rallying ground where socialists and capitalists, where nationalists and pacifists, where idealists and businessmen may stand together. It may be the surest of all the guarantees against the renewal of great wars. Written by Winston S. Churchill. Thank you very much for listening. Till next time.
So I'm sure you heard the words European project, or the United States of Europe, sorry, is what he said. This was not in aid of helping Europe. This didn't make our countries stronger and more nationalist as a result. Before I go on to talk about, and remind me, talk about issues against the working class. Don't let me forget. I want to talk about Europe now because I keep forgetting my subject. So I'm going to write this in the chat. Look, working class. Remind me, you lot. That's what I said, right? So anyway, Europe. Europe for me is a dirty word because each country is incredibly important. So it is good that we have Europe as the word and as the entity, but ultimately, I wouldn't cry any tears if the word was scrapped, because I would rather that each country was seen as what it is, its own sovereign state. So you can't undermine something with a blanket statement like Europe. If you get rid of the word Europe, you have to say, oh no, I'm going to France. You can't have Americans saying, yeah, I'm going to Europe. No offense, but what do you mean you're going to Europe? What are you talking about? You can't give a blanket currency to these people that have their own identities. That's the beauty of nationalism and identity. So me personally, when you really sit there and think about it, why does the word Europe, or even referring to it as Europe, help? Why does looking at maps and making sweeping statements help? Because it only helps people set up globalist governments. Churchill had no interest in the nationalist state of these individual countries when he helped sell off Poland, half of Poland, to Russia. He had no interest in any of these nationalist countries or what was going to happen to them in the decades. Did you hear him say there? So I didn't want to interrupt it in case you want to take it back and listen. But did you hear him say that socialists and capitalists and so on could all live together? All he's explaining is this world that we live in now of LARPing capitalism, which is actually controlled, dominated by socialists. and billionaires and multimillionaires that pretend to be socialists on their social media, but would never live by those standards, ever. I remember once saying to a socialist, just threw him a zinger when I was at a lefty march, questioning them. And I said, so where will the money come from? And he couldn't get the concept into his head that eventually money runs out. That unless you have entrepreneurial people and you do trade with the world and you allow people to aspire and give them that motive, he couldn't understand that the money would just go. He thought that you could just look at these other countries, and a socialist is just a LARPing communist, because that's where the conversation is always going to head, isn't it? Because they're going to eventually going to have to use communist countries as examples, and it's not going to go down well. At the minute, we've got China pretending to be an individual country, but it's not. It's heavily owned. It's heavily owned. And once again, we see communism, which is supposed to be this socialist utopia, this Marxist utopia. But look at how nationalist China is, or North Korea. The two most communist countries I can think of at the moment, apart from England, are heavily nationalist. So wouldn't that make them national socialists? I'm just following the examples that socialists, hold others account to. So if you're saying a socialist that has national interests is a national socialist, then you must be exploding at China and North Korea. Oh, that must be driving you up the wall. Once again, before I move on to, I remembered the working class subject, which will move us on to the current movement. I did converse today with, once again, a wonderful lady who detests us all. But there's this disgusting thing that people are doing at the minute, and they just keep bringing up Hitler. They just keep bringing up Hitler for no reason. So, for example, you'll be talking about Google, or you'll be talking about immigration, and then for no reason, these characters will come in and start character assassinating Hitler, as if you care, as if we all support Hitler, as if any of us support Hitler. What's Hitler got to do with anything? They start coming in and saying Hitler was this. So what? It doesn't mean that we're not having transgenderism in schools in 2020. I'm not interested in Hitler. Why do you all keep talking about Hitler on the left and these people coming in? I don't get it. It's suspicious. Because I was asking this person, they was calling this Nazis, and I said, where does that word come from? And they wouldn't answer the question. And then they said, right, I'm going to send all this to the police. Well, I'm asking, right, okay, fine, because I'm asking genuine questions. I'm asking for definitions of the terms that are being used. Right? I'm not being unfair. I'm asking who used it, because if you're going to come in and use a word which can get people in big trouble, then you have to tell me who made that word, and then we can decide whether that was actually a word used of slander, right? And if you hate Nat socks, then you would hate many of the people that you would claim you should support. It just doesn't make sense. Everything that you say doesn't make sense. And I ask you to define what you mean by any word when I'm talking to these individuals, and all I get is, you are disgusting. I asked if someone today had an issue with the individuals making paedophilia legal in California, and because they were Jewish, the person would not answer me. Could not say, I disagree with that. Let me see if I can find this. If Al's listening, get me that article, please, Al. California. Under 10-year-olds. Okay, so here we go. Bill would not legalize paedophilia in California. So where's these characters that are making the attempt? Where's their faces gone? Alex, get them for me, please, if you're sat in the chat, because I haven't got time to be messing about. But they would not, knew what I was talking about, knew exactly the cases I was talking about, and didn't want to talk, just say, of course I condemn that. It's horrific. But blah, 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 blah. It's so easy to say that. So these people's arguments are so insincere, and they all accuse us of things that are going on in the past. We've got bugger all to do with the past. It doesn't matter if Hitler never existed. We're worried about what's going on now. We don't care I don't care. Draw paintings of Hitler as a transsexual. Do what you like. It's not relevant to today's politics. If someone's doing it, just kick them out your chat. They're LARPing. They're Fed posters. What are you doing? We're worried about 200 migrants being trafficked in a day by the Home Office, and you're coming in here talking about a guy that died 90 years ago, allegedly. I don't get it. It's almost as if you've got an ulterior motive. Call me suspicious or conspiratorial. Right. Anyway, working class. So I do feel there's a particular disdain against the working class at the minute among the current right-wing factions. When I say factions, I don't mean all of them, obviously, because many of them are. But I do feel that there is a clear disdain for the working class, and they feel that the likes of myself or the working class are yobs. And I can certainly forgive them for some of the things that we've done for accusing us of being yobs. But I do think, once again, we're wrapped up in that false sense of entitlement issue where people believe that just because they're them, they know more than other people. Just because they are who they are and that's their brain and they look out of their eyes every day, therefore they must be right. No, I'm not how can I be a white supremacist? A white supremacist would say I want them to be to say I want them to be supreme would mean I want to harm others or somehow put my people over others overall, only in my decadent nation, in my native nation, because we will be outbred otherwise. I'm not a supremacist as far as what people do in their own countries. No, a supremacist would entail that I want to go out and conquer and make us supreme. No, I'm a survivalist. I'm a white survivalist. I'm a white nationalist. A supremacist is a filthy word dragged through the puddle, much like homophobe, atheist, all of these words that are used for nonsensical reasons to confuse us. The only reason you'd call this is to patronize three religions. Otherwise, you'd just call me a non-believer. You just call me a non-believer. I'm only an atheist because that's what three particular religions refer to it as, because they have one of two options, yes or no. Well, everything else is different gods, multiple gods, blah, 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 even then, yes or no. But when it comes to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, I'm an atheist, apparently. So says them. Well, I am not an atheist for not believing in Santa Claus. So it must be that word exists for you, not me. Also, yes, so you're pagan, are you, free speech? I have to remind you that the rumors are that the word pagan actually came from Christians who came to these isles because they had no word for non-Christians. So pagan was the word for them. So even those that consider themselves pagans still label themselves a term originally named by Christianity. If I'm wrong on that, I'll happily hold my hands up, but I have heard that. It doesn't make it any less important. And once again, paganism is living proof that our history is not defined by any one religion. We've had Vikings who had multiple gods. We've had a lot of different things happen on this tiny island. And we don't give it a lot of credit. We don't want to look into that history because it's uncomfortable for our own. And I think that says it all, doesn't it? I think that very much says it all. And these people which have a disdain for the working class, upper and middle class people, or lower middle class or whatever, can be just as not, worldly as anyone else. And I work closely with each of these classes. But you can get an accumulation of bad ones in one place, which can cause an overall feeling of resentment to any entity unlike that which has been let in. So the larger this entity gets and the more upper or middle class it gets, the more detached it becomes from the working class. The less interested, the more resentful it becomes, the more catty it's going to be. But the thing is about the working class is one thing you have to give them credit for is they don't suffer from that insecurity. They'll talk to anyone because they do see people as humans. I've also seen some interesting things today, which will hopefully leave some serious egg on people's faces. And once again, remind them that their security is utter rubbish. But from my understanding, unless the information is wrong, in which case it's very unfair of me to say this, but it would look suspiciously like Miss Britannia there has been up to no good. Who knows? Maybe that's all untrue. And the tears that I heard in the voice notes were genuine. The tears explaining each excuse, why each anti-white, anti-Western tweet that she made was a mistake or it was just a troll. Yes. Let's all shed a tear. Let's all get our socialist violins out for the person that put up a tweet saying, I can't wait to talk to the police about all of the right-wing groups I've been in. Take your tears and shove them because you was going to hand in innocents whose families are at risk, who are being lied to day in, day out by their own government. Once again, 12 months passed and I saw no genuine infight on PWR. But this person who it took someone else, and I'm disappointed in us. We should have looked into this. This was clumsy on our behalf. Someone else took the time to look into this and found that woman reading a poem in what looked like some sort of feminist book club or whatever. So how the hell did it get on these panels so quickly? This is why I'm going to have time to myself, because I'm looking in now, and here's the reality of the situation. It's becoming a bit of a joke, and there is nothing here to support. And I've said my bit. Are people going to actually act on it? because I can't take this personally. Between leftists, transgenders, people that joke about paedophilia and dog shagging, live in foreign countries, Antifa. So, I mean, look, I'm not doing it again. I'm just not doing it again. Saying all this, even repeating it is boring me now. Even going public with it is boring me. So the temptation is to compete with it. The temptation is to say this is pathetic. But as I've said before, I don't say I'm going to do something unless I do it. Unless I'm going to do it, sorry. Vinnie Sullivan, show the Concord meme. You know you want to. I think I won't, actually. I think I'll let... Because for some strange reason, almost as if a massive middle finger, maybe I'm being paranoid, who knows. I did see Miss Britannia, Laura Towler, and Jakes on the stream earlier. Now, am I being too outspoken if I was to say people haven't learned their lesson? What do you do at that point? Keep moaning about it or have a break? Because what I can see what's happening here. Factions are going to be at each other's throats. People are going to start falling out. There's no security whatsoever. Right? So all of these people that are involved are going to get doxxed. They're going to get found. They're going to get their own spies at all. It's always someone from the outside. Every single time. So personally, I'm going to leave this now to the public. Because otherwise, oh, look, here's that guy moaning about stuff again. No, I've said my part. You want to hand your IDs to these people, suit yourself. I've spent 12 months supporting it, and I cannot stand there and go, yeah, support that, when I don't know what's going to happen to you. You're going to end up on some ADL hit list because I was sat there going, yeah, go PA. No, I'm not being guilty for that. No way. I want everyone to be as safe as possible. I want you all to lock down your stuff. And I only resent the anonymity of people that are using it to be a detriment to nationalists or moral people. If you're actually a good person, I respect your anonymity. I have no sympathy for it whatsoever if you're an evil deviant. None. Don't care. I did have something I wanted to bring up. Because I didn't believe this was true. I saw a tweet before we move on to other news. I saw a tweet earlier. I'm going to put this on screen. Just a really quick one. And I thought that's not true. So I typed into Google and it is true. Right. Black comedian Sophie Duker killing white people sparks 42 Ofcom complaints. Okay, so share. This is the sort of thing you'd do prison time for if you was white and you said this. You'd be famous internationally. You'd be on New York Times front page if you said this. Black comedian Sophie Duker's misjudged joke about killing white people on the BBC has sparked 42 complaints to broadcast regular Ofcom. The Daily Mail report these piddly little stories as if it's some sort of stance. You know what, the one that really pisses me off? This pathetic BBC TV license thing. As if we're taking on the world, you know. Stop paying your TV license. Yeah. And people have whole campaigns about it. Yeah, great. But in the meantime, migrants are being shipped in and raping everyone. I understand 5G might be a problem to people, but in the meantime, migrants coming in and raping everyone. Also, assess nationalism. Assess what it means to you. And this is going to sound really, really cruel to some people. Why are you here? Because I look at some people with actual names out there. Why are you here? Are you here because you care for every single subject overall? You have an overarching pain for your nation and your people? Or are you only involved in something because of an individual personal thing that happened to you? And I see people that live stream and all sorts, and I think, I wonder if you give a shit about the migrants. I wonder if you give a shit about the growing crime rate everywhere. Because there's many people, and I understand any victim of abuse is, you know, I sympathize with that. But are you only in this because you as a victim? Or are you in this because you can't stand what's happening to everyone? Because I see a lot of different motives and groups out there. But I'll repeat myself. We've got hundreds of migrants being smuggled in a day, trafficked in a day. We can all talk about these issues later. We haven't got time to worry about telephone poles going up. It's not me undermining people's plight, but we just haven't got time. And there's many people out there that really do scream this moral cause, but they're only in it because something happened to them. And if that hadn't happened to them, they wouldn't be here. No one would know who they were. So there's many of us that were driven into this because we look around and we see our city, we see our people, we see our language, we see our music, we see everything being pissed on. And that bothers us overall. Whether it's Antifa, whether it's communism, whatever it is, whether it's rape victims, whether it's not just one particular cause. And sometimes I come across groups, for instance, that they chase one little Antifa crowd, for instance, right? And they'll get really protective over it, as if it's a competition. I'm like, boys, just give me the information. We need to get, we know we're going to get these guys, but they're covetous with it. You know, but why? Do you want the job done or not? Do you want to see these, you know, these people spoken to on a legal term or not? But because it's so important to them, they've been working on it for so long, they can't. Even though they won't go and do anything, they won't put it out anywhere. They've not got a following. They just won't hand it over because they've worked on it for too long. Okay, fine. So that person doesn't care. That's not a nationalist. I think we can all think of people in our heads, can't we, that are out there claiming an individual cause. And they would say that that one cause is the worst thing in the world. But if we was to go to the top, all those causes would stop. Whether you're talking about, and I'm not undermining any of these causes, they're genuine causes, I'm just saying it, all these would stop if we went to the top. From forced adoption to, you know, institutional paedophilia, these are all things that should be addressed by all of us at once in a legal fashion. These splintered factions, nationalism serves all of those things. Nationalism serves saving our people. There's too many splintered factions at the minute that are seeking individual things that will just not be addressed because the huge globalist hands at play are much bigger. They're tackling point A and point Z is just laughing at them. We need some more hands on deck, as it were. So I'm going to ask for public opinion now. It's all very well me sitting here ranting. I'm going to ask for some ones. If you think that there is a serious issue with security in the current nationalist movement, and if I get 20 ones, I know that there's enough people to agree with me. Mm-hmm. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Where's my water? There it is. Oh, who is ringing me? Alex, are you ringing me? He did, and I bet he heard me say, Alex, are you ringing me? Oh, wait, I bet he's... Oh, he wants to come on, doesn't he? Oh, right, hang on. Oh, can I trust him? Oh, I can't. I don't know if I can have you on. What mood are you in? Mind you, I can mute you. I'm just going to mute you if you're a dick. I've inboxed him on Telegram. We'll find out if he's about. If he is, we'll get Alex on for a bit. But you know, Al, he's going to be outspoken, isn't he? I'm going to be sitting there like this, muting him like a DJ on a mixer. Everyone give a... last time I'll do this because I know it's annoying. Give a 1 if you want to see Alex in the chat. If you love Al, give a 1. You've got to love Al. Yeah, 1 for Al. That's it. I think he's off somewhere with his mates. So if he sees this, he'll jump on. His ego won't be able to avoid it, seeing all those 1s. So basically, from my understanding, people doubled down. People doubled down. They continued to stream with the defenders and degenerates themselves, basically. I see no further need to interact with such entities. And I would heavily suggest that people think about their security. You can detest me for saying it all you like, but I'm not here to make people happy. That's the thing. Now, wait. Bear with me 1 second. Let's go to my channel. I was going to play one of my videos. I just need to remember which one it was. This is why I need to stop doing these last-minute live streams. Won't be a minute. Now, I said to you all, I confronted a man called Paul Sillett. Now, I've not played this video in a very long time. There's Alex. Yes, Al. Now, I'm going to play a video that I hinted to in my last stream. Anyone that's here will remember me saying, I think I lost everything I own because I confronted a man called Paul Sillett. Not long after that, life changed. This was that event. Now, I had seen this guy at multiple events. And then I saw him at an Antifa event where he was coordinating people. So I knew, right, this guy is clearly highly influential in stand up to racism and in Antifa itself. So I thought, I'm going to go out, find out this guy's name, which I did, find him at the lead of one of his biggest marches, which I did, and shout his name in his face whilst live, so he couldn't do anything whilst everyone went to his Facebook, which I did successfully, which is why he was so pissed off with me. So I'm looking for that video right now. Here we go. Now, what you can't see is how many people were around me screaming abuse and that wanted to punch me in the head. And suspiciously, hang on, did I play this video a while ago? There's a part of this video which, for some reason, just disappeared. Because at one point I got crushed against a police van and it's just not in the video. But this was a Facebook Live. And I don't know, I think those police vans, though, have things in them for this sort of thing. But anyway, I'm going to share my screen. Now, once again, I apologise for my hair. I look like something out of a 1900s villain film. This was the day. This was my last day of normality. Now, what you can't see is Luke Uncaged trying to keep people back away that are trying to smack me, as well as another guy that I won't name. Well, two guys that I won't name. And they're doing their best to keep people off of me whilst I have this altercation with this guy. So I am apologetic about how outlandish and outspoken I am. But it was a bit of a hairy situation.
I've been shouted at, condemned, people have had a go at me, all sorts. Right, now this geezer here, this geezer here.
So I'm looking, there he is.
Oh, it's Paul! Hello, Paul! Antifa! Antifa! We know your face, we know your face. What are you going to do?
Go away. What do we want? Silly fun. You little silly girl.
So you Antifa, you might be mad about it. You Antifa. Antifa coward. Antifa coward. You ever take violence?
Come out. We'll get the police behind you.
I'm right here. This is the fourth time we see each other, isn't it?
Do yourself what it did.
Sorry, what's that? Oh, say it. Say it. What should I do what Hitler did? Hey? Yeah. That's all you can do, mate. Paul, mate. Paul. Are you Antifa as well, mate? This guy's Antifa. Yeah, we heard all that. This geezer thinks he's fucking big, man. Antifa all day. Paul Citadel. Paul Citadel on Facebook. Everyone type in Paul Citadel on Facebook. He's Antifa, mate. This guy's Antifa. We know his face. We know his face. He come right up to me. You see him right up to me there. No, mate. We've got your number. You're down, mate.
Down for the cat. Yeah. I don't see that. So he's right.
We're not threatening you. Why did you march up to me? Why did you march up to me just now? Yeah. Oopla! A bit of barge by people and all sorts here. We've caught a couple Antifa so far already. Like this geezer. Look in on the phone. Get on the phone once.
People are starting to push me from behind at this point. People are getting right nasty. And Lou's having to work overtime. And what's in front of us there is about 30,000 people. Didn't know what was coming.
Follow me. You're a coward. Whatever you need to ask, nothing. Wet fish. Look at these people trying to block me. Boys, they keep grabbing me. They keep grabbing me up. Look. I'm not, mate. I'm just trying to film. Honestly, mate, they all just grabbing me up.
So I'm the one that got carted off, as you can see. So then I get a police escort to the station as a result, right? And there's me thinking, but these are Antifa, Mr. Policeman. How can you take their side? Not long after that, my life changed in a big way, in a massive way. Alex, are you there? And we'll get you in the chat. All right, he's asking for a link. 1 sec. Ladies and gents, I would brace yourself for the loud, for the obnoxious, for the autistic, for the eccentric, for the problematic Alexander Sangmore when he checks his inbox anyway. Yeah, crazy. And I know there's something wow with stuff. But at this point, I had spent so long as a pissed off civilian. I was really frustrated. And I was so annoyed seeing that these people were allowed to have this march. I wanted to go and expose their leaders. I wanted to make it known to the public. But I was the bad guy. Apparently, I was going robotic. Let me know if I'm better. Just a quick word in the chat if my audio is fixed, please. Wind your router up. You know, those left-wing marches as well, before Alex does come in, those left-wing marches are allowed to travel through the most populated parts of the West End. They can walk through Tottenham Court Road, really, if they like, if the police decide they can. But our marches... Hang on. Our marches, we were always hidden. We had to walk behind the Queen's Garden. And we'd finish in Westminster, and then we'd disperse, and the public wouldn't see us. And everyone would be conned into thinking they had a great day out. But none of the holiday makers or shoppers that were in their millions saw you. They might have near Trafalgar Square or near Chinatown, but that's about it. The actual public never saw you. You were hidden around the back streets near Chelsea and so on. Or towards that way. Keep Churchill a man of his time. A traitor is a traitor whatever time they lived in. You can't just say he's no longer alive, leave him alone. Doesn't work like that. And I'm seeing a lot of people attack people for no reason. And I'm losing patience with it. I don't have the energy for it. I'm just seeing problems repeat themselves. And once again, I refer to people like PJW, who creates content and doesn't feel the need to argue with people. And quite often with us, we pipe up because we're sick of seeing security mistakes and wrongdoing. How much can you say? So what do we do? What do we do from here? Individually, each person needs to decide whether they are defined by any one movement or they are bigger than that. They need to decide whether they want to go into activism or something a little bit more, because we're in big trouble. We haven't got time for people to sit there and wait for someone else to do it and just make excuses for the liberal piss takes that we need rid of. You know you need rid of them. Maybe you'd do a better job. As I've said many times, I speak to many people that would do just as good or a better job than me if only they asserted themselves and gave themselves that credit. Okay, everyone, I'm about to let Noise Machine in. Al, before I let you in, just have a deep breath. Be nice and calm. Right? Here we go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to the stream. I don't have anything in particular to say other than PA Assets openly, confidently declaring that TRR should break up is a declaration of war, and that the fifth time that this happens, it will be. That is all. Like, that's the only reason that I've come onto this stream this evening, sir. There will be war if anyone openly declares TRR should break up. That's all. How are you doing, sir? Have you been dumping red pills so far? I've been out.
I've been very tame. Because I came on and I intended to let rip. And I thought I've done that too much. I thought I'm not going to stream for a while. I've lost a lot of faith in this so-called movement. And I often think if we was to actually start questioning people, Al, we would piss past them.
Why are right-wing content creators embracing former liberal content creators instead of genuine nationalist right-wing ones? This question has irked me a great deal. And not only that, they will openly support assets that openly call for TRR to be disbanded with confidence and conviction. I've had enough of this. Do you hear me? 4 times this happening from their assets. Way too bloody much. Way too much glow-ho ops, Judas Goat subversion occurring. Has to be noted, has to be presented forcefully and severely. This is not a 37 gambit. We're not their fucking mercenaries. This is genuine, real fucking critique that will bring you down if you don't openly elevate spy defense against Judas Goats. I named them directly. PA has Judas Goat problem, has had one, has one presently, will have one if they do not listen to what exactly we are saying. That is all.
Yeah, but we're done being the police of the...
That's fine, but I don't want to hear the afterthought of, oh, they're acting on the behest of 37 gang. No, we're fucking not. You cunts. No more dismissal obfuscation. Any asset that says TRR should disband. Yeah, again. I calm down now. All right. Tranquillo.
Honestly, Al, don't drop C-bombs on her, please. Mad Fries.
Yes, of course.
Don't put your belt on with a boomerang, mate. Honestly. Someone in here called Little White Vin. Doesn't Mark run TRR? Mark couldn't run the 1500. Never mind TRR. Right.
Anyway, the point of the matter is that we don't take shit from either the left or the so-called right, and when the quote so-called right, the alternative right, is openly accepting liberal assets into their ranks, and they expect us to like this, and to not pay attention to it. No. You think...
Go on a diet, you need one. I'm not going to sit here and patronize you, you weird little communist. Piss off. Any admins about, get rid of that weirdo, will you? I've had enough of that feminine oddball.
The acceptance of liberalism into a patriotic alternative is cancer. Why willingly accept genuine cancer into one's movement? We will move on to other points of news immediately because I have a very limited amount of time because I have a guest around, so I have to get this done very quickly, sir.
Well, do you want to go through?
Shall we go through some pieces of the news?
Yep.
Alrighty.
Oh, by the way, Al, we won't go into it, but I spoke to a specific lady today. I won't name her. I think you'll know. And I asked if she had a problem with the Californian laws being passed at the minute. And guess what? Wouldn't answer me. Wouldn't condemn it. After multiple questions.
Really?
Don't. Yeah, but, you know, is what it is.
All right, noted. Listen, the right needs useful assets, not useless ones, especially former liberal ones that have no idea what they're talking about or what's going on.
But Al, why have you got to go 0 to 100? Just do it a little bit more.
I don't go
myself.
0 to 100, don't worry, sir, but when I see this shit happening, what am I to do? Former overtly liberal assets, overtly leftist authorship is infecting a alternative that is patriotic. Is all I'm saying. And I'm supposed to appreciate this or ignore it? No.
That name there has defended Dangerfield and Unwashed to me previously. He's got to go. This guy here, Damien. He did it in a couple of chats. He just, for no reason, was looking for excuses to excuse degeneracy.
By the way,
so,
you can shoot the messenger all you like. It doesn't change that an alternative that is patriotic is being infected by Judas Goat, genuine pseudo-nationalist liberals. I'm openly declaring this because it's become a relevant, significant issue. Especially when they openly declare TRR should disband. No, fuck you. How about we openly declare an alternative that is patriotic?
Right. See what I mean? Look,
yes.
You're being an emotional wreck.
But this is proportionate reciprocity, though, sir. No, they're doing it to us.
Right, I'm going to shut you up here. No, it's not, because every person saying it, it's just a leftist joke. So their joke, it's not them. They've not said that. The two leaders haven't.
Well, they have very low spy defense if they're allowing their proxies to.
Look,
are they allowing their proxies to, sir? No, don't worry. Are they? Right. No worries, sir. I've had nicotine.
But C-bomb on this stream. You know what are we?
I hear you. Are they? Here's the question, sir. Are they allowing their proxies to say openly TRR should disband? Yes or no? 4 of them in 6 months.
Yes, well,
4.
That's fine. Yeah,
okay.
But it's not,
this is a problem.
Them saying it.
Well, that's fine, but it's their proxies. Therefore, they hold a proportion of the blame. And anyone who says otherwise is trying to dismiss and obfuscate. But that's okay. I'm not throwing chowder in the river for the piranhas. I'm saying
but you get angry about the wrong things, Al. Who gives a shit if they said we should disband? Obviously, because we're better.
That's all right, though.
That's why they won't go on panel with it.
The problem is that they shouldn't be doing so confidently. That's the problem. Them confidently using lefty liberal points, TRR should disband your leadership, yada yada, is a lefty talking point. Fuck the lot of them to death. Everyone who has said that, fuck the lot of them to death. Final verdict.
You just calm down now. You just sound like a little girl.
No, I'm a little pissed off that people who should be allies are confronting us in a manner that is lefty, sir. In all factors. I'm righteous and proportionate to be pissed off. I've got it out of my system. Shall we move on with the news, sir?
No, you ain't. No, you ain't. You're just going to be a dick again in a minute. Watch.
I'm saying let's move on with the news and I don't mention it further. Worry not, sir.
Right, well, I've been talking about it
If anything, I've learned self-restraint over the last 6 to 9 months.
I've been talking about it for half hour, right?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I haven't had a look at the stream beforehand. I apologize.
No.
Okay.
It takes you 30 seconds, to just throw everything off the table.
Tranquillo.
You're shit.
Only comfort and smugness and tranquility from this second on, sir. No more ass clenching for you. I understand. I have said my piece.
Crap.
Anyway, I've said my piece. Shall we move on with the news, sir?
Yeah, get on with it.
All right, so there's one
Liability.
piece of news that I want you all to have a gander at. I'm going to link it in the Reality Report Telegram, t.me/the Reality Report. This is a guy called Keith Woods. I've not looked into his background, so this is not a direct and immediate endorsement. But why you should be concerned about Netflix's Cuties with Keith Woods. Second video is an analysis on how zero queer theorist academics, in other words, pedo apologists, have come out anti-pedophilia or incest ever. This is an absolute must-watch for all parents. Please go and watch it. There are literal nonce advocates in the world doing their grift, and the drama is petty and bullshit compared to this. There are literal lefty, pedo-apologetic, Marxist assets out there. All parents should know about this. That's the first news story, sir. Everyone should go and subscribe.
Sorry, mate. Where is this? Where is
this? This is in the Reality Report main page, sir.
Uh-huh.
Just linked it.
I think Jackson Latte is probably making multiple accounts with his massive nose. Let him stay then. Carry on.
Excuse me. The main story of the day is that there are literal lefty academics pushing noncery apologetics. The second part is the UN Global Compact on Safe, Orderly and Regular Replacement Migration. This here is an infographic I have created over 6 months ago that we are now deploying, which is a full rundown on the aspects of the UN Global Compact on Migration that are 3 things. 1, dangerous and alarming. 2, contradictions and emotional blackmail. 3, problematic and concerning. We must fight the UN Global Compact on safe, orderly, and regular replacement migration for the sake of our nation, our sovereignty, our prosperity, our children's future, but most importantly, the preservation of the heritage of that our forefathers fought, bled, and died for. The UN Global Compact on safe, orderly, and replacement migration is a Kalergi op for white racial replacement in Britain and internationally. Fuck the UN Global Compact on migration. The Tories sticking with what Theresa May signed us up to is a travesty that will be a stain on British history. Next news, sir.
Yes, please. I'm just making someone a mod.
All righty. Concerning Churchill. Kalergi wrote his biography.
Hang on. I played your voice clip of the foreword. I played the full 3 minutes.
Perfect.
Is this going to be
perfect? So there's things that are obvious in it, and there are things that aren't obvious. Okay, so the things that aren't obvious are the following, right? That's what we're going to go into.
The United, as long as we're not going to bore them, because I explained the United States.
No, we're not. We're not. Don't worry. Okay. So Churchill was best friends with Kalergi. If you actually really, really listen to how he's writing about Kalergi, they sound like bummer lovers, fudge packers. It sounds like a love letter to Kalergi. The foreword, if you genuinely listen to it, it sounds like a love letter. Okay? Kalergi and Churchill were best mates. This changes your view of history. Why? Because Churchill was in bed with someone who wanted white racial extinction in Europe. I'm just saying, but he was. So let's move on to the next story. The Clintons had a judge assassinated who has been assigned to prosecuting Epstein associates. Federal judge's son, 20, is shot dead, and her criminal defense attorney husband is critically injured after a gunman dressed as a FedEx driver ambushed their home 4 days after she was assigned a case linked to Jeffrey Epstein and the source. Why is this relevant, even though it's a month or so old? Yeah.
That reminds me, I had to get a video up. Well done. You're going to love
the point of this story. Glad to hear, sir. The point of this story is that the Clintons will assassinate anyone who genuinely prosecutes them under the law, which means that they're even worse than Al Capone and the mafia. They are the deep state mafia. They will literally assassinate anyone who talks about this, except for people who are way too much known as public figures, I would expect. But if they're targeting judges in America to assassinate them, the Clintons, we should all be on massively high alert for Clinton operations. They are international. They are an international crime syndicate, and it's a problem. and you should all be aware that the Clintons suicide people or arkancide them. The very term arkancide comes from the Clintons killing off people who know too much.
Alex, for Christ's sake.
Yes, so we'll move on to the next story immediately. Marxist assets in the FBI are getting grilled massively. They were questioned on how they view Antifa in their legal documents, and the one of the FBI chairmen testified at the House Homeland Security Committee hearing that we look at Antifa as more of an ideology or a movement than an organization, which means that they're not applying the domestic terrorist label that was signed into law by Trump 7 to 9 months ago. The FBI has swamp rot in it that's getting purged, and they're getting grilled for it. This here story is what I'm about to link as a copy link thing in the Reality Report, t.me/the Reality Report. You should all go to subscribe to it. It will have the full story there. Click on the link and you'll find the full story with the video.
The day they come and take you away, you're going to end up in Area 51. You know that, don't you?
I am. If they send any amateur assets, I'm well aware of my rights. Worry
One
not.
day I'm going to be sat in front of a board.
Yeah, I know. So it's heavy news.
One day I'm going to be sat in front of a board of scary people, and they're going to be listing out all the reasons that I'm about to get my head chopped off, and they'll be reading out all of these quotes of Alex for the last few years of my life. So make the most of it, Al. Make the most of it.
Yeah, hey, buddy, we're going to move on to J.P. Morgan assets getting done for 8 months in prison.
J.P. Morgan. Oh, right, okay. So
we're done with the Clintons. Now we're moving on to J.P. Morgan. You realize that they're fucking the world, sir. Yeah. You understand, though, sir, that they're fucking the world, and if we don't report on it, no one else the fuck will. Right?
Well,
so now we're going to move on to the World Bank. Okay?
Yeah.
So, or do you want to pause a second or do commentary, sir?
Not really. I wanted to address this video, but I mean, we could. Dare we talk about Titanic and the Morgans, or should we not tempt too much?
No, sir. They're doing a report about a guy from JP Morgan getting 8 months in prison is okay, but that might be a bit much, sir. Listen.
Right, let's just in that case, I'll tell you what, we're going to drop all them subjects because my YouTube is at risk as it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this video, and what we're seeing here is the blessed.
Don't go into the. Wait, let's get this done. Don't get into Titanic. What happened? All right, can we agree on this? Yeah. All right, maybe carry on, father.
Also, Scotland Yard. One day, I'm just going to not help him anymore. Right? I can't be held responsible for what's going to happen in the future with Alex's mouth. But what we're seeing here is a so-called, in quotes, student, which has pulled out a gun. Are you looking at the screen now?
Yes. Whoa, what are you showing, sir? This is,
It gets worse.
You're admonishing me for talking about spicy shit, and then you put this on. You cheeky cunt.
It gets worse. Oh, it's with the C words on stream. It gets worse, right? Because the class love it. So imagine this is your classroom. Everyone would panic. Everyone would be disgusted. Oh my God, this guy's got a gun. He's sticking it at the teacher. Look how this class reacts. This class of what appears to be migrants. Does this look like a class of moral people or people that are quite entertained by this?
Jesus Christ, sir. Do you know who's to blame for this? The race war instigators. Do you know who's been race war instigating for the last 6 months? We're not going to talk specifically about the faction, but they're Abrahamics, sir. Instigating race war. This bloody video right here is the result of black racial hegemony radicalization. BLM and the Black Israelites are buddy-buddy, by the way. I did some research yesterday. BLM, Black Israelites, Extinction Rebellion, Antifa, all on the
They
same
always have
page,
been.
all Eh?
They always have been Black Israelites as far as the BLM agenda, because it's so biased against whites, you know, and you know what they're like, the Black Israelites. They are, for those that don't know who Black Israelites
I've come
are,
across
they
3
are
of them in my life to speak with.
militant anti-white.
Black racial hegemony or go home is Black
And they believe
Israelites, basically.
Israel belongs to them. It's a very, very, very militant mindset. I have spoken to one before, and I think I mentioned this on stream. I was having a nice chat with one. Remember the Speaker's Corner panels I used to be on all the time, Al? And I was once I found myself on panel with one of these characters, and I said to him, I understand your ethos. You do know that, don't you? And he said, yeah, that's fine. And we had a nice chat. And then I said, but you do know that I know that the only way for you to be happy is to kill me, don't you? And he said, yeah, but it doesn't mean we can't have a nice chat. And I said, well, our chat is incredibly insincere if in your second breath you follow a belief which says we have to wipe out the white race and take Israel for the black race.
Yeah, they don't like their own logic being applied to them when it comes to open borders. Was it an Israeli asset, may I ask, sir?
To be honest, I don't know. It was on the panel, anonymous voice. Seemed to know his subject, but he didn't have a good reason to be talking to me so nicely if he was genuine. I said, every word that you speak to me in a kind manner only says you don't believe your own ethos. So how can you be a Black Israelite if you don't want me to die?
I hear you. Yeah. Let's do a little bit of commentary on this here video. What I have seen this evening is not just the deconstruction of morality, decency, dignity, the rule of law, everything, by race war instigators. I've seen a woman's life threatened by redacted because what? I didn't get the motive, by the way.
No.
Why was he putting his gun to the teacher's head?
It was only entertainment factor, as far as I could see. Only
entertainment factor. So putting a gun to a white person's head is entertainment factor, and Twitter allows it. Not only that, there's even more layers to this. Twitter allows this.
He didn't do it to any of the other males in the room, right? He did it to the one white female in the room.
The elderly woman. Yeah, man, big bollocks man move right there.
It's not just that, Al. They know in their mind, they can see the bias, they know what they can get away with, and they know that they're allowed to bully whites. Now, I'm going to move on to the next video before we overplay that one. This one here, I think it was today this happened. Could be wrong. This is North London. Now, this chap walks in to rob a Subway with a gun, fires 3 rounds for no reason behind the counter, and then leaves. Doesn't get the money. He's not going in to get a gang member. He just walks in. Look, here we go. Let me know if you can hear this. So what was that in aid of? What did he get out of that?
General, let's terrorize whites into submissions so that they take the glow-ho world order's big soggy fig into our
I'm muting you. What is wrong with you? It's nothing to do with whites. The people behind that counter weren't white.
I didn't.
That's a lunatic.
I didn't see who was behind the counter. My vision is very poor.
Right. So what are you talking about? So basically, some lunatic has come in and let off some rounds and run off. And this is happening.
What did he say specifically?
Just get the money. He was just screaming, "Get the money."
Did he get the money?
Well, we didn't give him the time.
Right. General robberies, sir. General crime activity from
Most robberies,
the usual suspects.
Most robberies out, you want to get the money. You don't come in fire. You don't want to fire the gun because that can get you years in prison. You just want to get the money, surely. To walk in, shoot the gun.
Well,
and
what
not
if
get
you're
the
a 1,000 IQ genius? What if you're the mastermind behind the Federal Reserve tier intelligence?
I think
What
that's
happens
we're
then,
dealing.
sir? Did you factor this in?
I got a message from someone from Channel 4 who said they wanted to use a video. Who, by the way, they don't need to ask me for permission for this video because I didn't film it. So you've got no reason to ask me for permission. So my response was, tell Channel 4 to take their anti-white agenda and fuck off. Sincerely, Great Britain. Someone accused me of copying Farage here. Ow. If you remember, I did this.
Well, I'm glad
year.
the comparison is very evident for all to witness, that we give a shit about similar important shit. Oh no, we too give a similar shit about important stuff going on in the world and mass-scale migration and replacement migration. We give a shit about that, therefore we want to aspire to and approximate Farage. No, you bastards, we focus on shit that matters.
If you're
anyway, how is Mr. Farage doing?
If
is
at
he
this
well?
age you can't speak calmly when you're live, you are never going to be a professional. Never.
I hear you. How is Mr. Farage doing?
I don't know. Probably taking lots of shekels.
Well, regardless, if he's talking about the migration issue and elevating conscious public awareness of it, one cannot be against those efforts in good consciousness. Everyone knows about it, but people know about it more if they hear about it more often. Basically, Edward Bernays, who wrote books about propaganda in the media, said that you just have to repeat a message often enough for it to become part of public consciousness. He's helping us create public consciousness awareness when it comes to the migration issue. We need as many digits associated with this as possible. We need as many people as possible investigating illegal human trafficking into Britain, because Lord knows Priti Patel and the government are not going to do it competently. It's a problem, and it needs looking at, because the people that are supposed to look at it are not doing so. So others have to pick up the slack. Farage is not the best slack picker-upper, but he's a competent and good one who sticks the fuck to it throughout decades, as far as I'm concerned. So,
I loved him for years. Really did.
Every speaker and commentator who has a massive audience has advisors who are of the tribe, sir. It is inevitable. Even the God Emperor. It's unfortunate, but it's the state of affairs. They don't want to accelerate things as fast as the left is accelerating things because they're afraid, okay? So the faction that controls Trump and Farage, to an extent, not fully, mind you, to an extent, not fully, I repeat, they don't want to accelerate things as much as the left are accelerating it, because they think there's going to be a third world war or a fallout or racial awakening consciousness, yada yada. I'm sorry, but what the left are doing is already making this happen. You don't have a choice in the matter. You have to report on what the left is doing in terms of savage criminality and have the balls to do so, regardless of your advisors and syndicate assets not having the balls to do what is right, to speak the truth and spite the devil. That is all.
Oh. Right, okay. Have we got any more placid news before we start to talk about security for the final time?
We have one good white pill piece of news from the express.co.uk. Disaster for BBC as 237,000 families, so not just individuals, but families, stop paying licence fee costing £40 million. BBC getting defunded by citizenry that hate their guts justifiably and proportionately. You should all stop paying for the pedo BBC. Sorry, they actively covered up the Savo. It's a matter of fact. This is not hearsay. Moving on. Netflix is under genuine investigation over the new film by the Texas representative called Ted Cruz, who put forward a formal legal investigation at a federal level into Netflix and how they actually made the movie. Because the guy who made the movie is, one, a former convicted nonce, and two, went through auditions with over 600 children, quote, auditions.
You cannot make this up.
Before he made the film. Okay, anyone from any faction on the right that is either neutral towards this or pro this, get lost. All right, pedo nonce apologists. Let's move on. Fortress Citadel guardsman Pepe says, "Fuck China for waging biowarfare and crashing the world economy. They did deploy bioweapons. They have crushed the world economy. Fuck them for the next century." So what do you need to know about China? And then we'll move on to any final news that you want, Vin, and then I have to sign off because of reasons. So China, Chinese Communist, we have 2 to 5 minutes, right?
Of course.
Alrighty. So China Chinese Communist Party in brackets CCP unleashes bioweapon virus to the world, conceals critical information to the rest of the world, provably, demonstrably, we know this from WHO legal investigations, sends out operatives to infect every major city around the world, seeing New York and Belarus for specific examples, creates save face public relations campaigns for every major news agency around the world. They own the media. The bioterrorist operatives own the media and are complicit. They cripple every economy in the world by shutting down airports, by shutting down trade, yada, yada. They put every life in the world in danger by shortages and supply line issues. They kill a significant amount of lives from every city in the world because they are eugenicists. They start blaming everyone else, such as Trump and his administration. They pay off with a lot of money the World Health Organization to promote false information, such as, "It's not an issue, go to Chinatown," according to Nancy Pelosi. She has received World Health Organization money, quote me. They have nationals abroad steal tons of medical supplies while the pandemic is ongoing, specifically in the case of Spain. They send faulty medical equipment to help, specifically in the case of Spain and the Eastern Bloc of Europe. Romania, I believe, if I am not incorrect. Correct me if I'm wrong. They mock and ridicule every person that calls them out for deploying bioweapon-bioterrorism ops and trying to own the citizenry's daily life and tell them to accept a new normal. Fuck that noise. Finally, no major politician or military person calls them out, or they get ridiculed by their media agencies that they own. This is the state of affairs in the world, where China is orchestrating bioterrorism on the world, and the world is falling for it. No more. Like, what's going on? Why are people still falling for it? It's at the point where Boris being accepting of Fauci and his garbage is completely off the fucking rails. And our economy is supposedly not suffering for it because we got a 31 billion Japanese trade deal, but it is suffering for it. The mask nonsense is complete garbage.
Fauci or...
I'm sorry, I'm angry about the state of the world. What can be done about it?
I'm not talking about you. Why is it about all of these people, whether it's anyone in the Hillary camp or Fauci himself, why is it they never let out a little tweet that they're angry about these pedophilic laws, eh? Why do you think we never see
because
it?
they're their base. Because in order to rank up in the deep state, you have to either go for money bribes or redacted.
It's a rhetorical question. We all know the answer.
Yeah, I hear you, but it's either money or redacted.
Redacted, yes.
Let's move on to the next. So none of you should like China for deploying bioweapons and for crashing the world economy. Don't take my word for it. Look at the world growth indexes after the coronavirus that was planned as bio-warfare terrorism. Don't take my word for it. Look into it. If you go to t.me/the reality report and you type in China at the top right corner, you will find over 15 archives dedicated to the sum totality of information concerning China deploying bio-warfare terrorism and the WHO and the Gates Foundation conducting, shall we say, tyrannical biotyranny. Tyrannical biotyranny is what we're going to call it. So just so you know, anyone who is telling you, oh, it's all a conspiracy, you know, no. There's billions, there's absolutely... Oh. Whoops. Can you hear me?
Yep.
There's billions invested in deceiving the world. There's billions invested in vaccinating the world into a dullard, non-agency having state. There's billions invested into dumbing you all down. And anyone who falls for it, any of it, anyone who doesn't have acute GLOHO awareness at this point, what can be done for them? There's people who are way into comas, and that's fine. Go for
Alex,
the people...
I heard a rumor today that the WHO is saying that if you send your kid to school, you're saying it's okay to inject them, basically. I don't know if that's true, but that they're going to try that angle and say it's
bioterrorism, sir.
And if you don't send them to school, then social services will come round. And there are rumors that the military are going to force us all to inject.
The real problem is that no one is taking the claim of bioterrorism seriously until Chinese assets go down and they close the Chinese embassy in America. So Chinese embassies are getting closed. They are literally deploying bioterrorism ops. And we're making deals with Japan and are likely going to screw over China with embargoes for the next century because they deigned to ally themselves with their masters of the deep state and deploy bioterrorism. Okay? Oh, he's just a crazy conspiracy theorist. The Wuhan virology lab doesn't have Fauci and Gates and Obama and Soros assets proximal to it. No. I'm gonna hop off on that note, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all have a great, comfy, smug evening. Vin, is there anything else that you need me here for the time being?
No, because when I do wrap up on security, you'll probably say something offensive anyway. But as always, great to have you.
No worries, sir. Much appreciated, sir. Till next time. Y'all have a great and comfy, smug evening. Doodles.
Take care, man. I know I have a go at Al, but I adore him to pieces. And sometimes you'll hear Alex and I talk to each other like shit, but it's because we are very close. It's not because we don't like each other or resent each other. It doesn't matter if it's in front of people. We're not trying to belittle each other at all. He will snap back at me quite often. I couldn't think higher of Al, but he's a nightmare. He's just such a nightmare. I tell you what, I've spent weeks on the trot with him when we've been in places and, you know, doing bits and bobs, and he's so funny. He really is. He never stops being funny either. And in person, he's 10 times funnier than he is online. I can promise you that, because he can be himself. He's cut loose. You know, one of the best human beings to ever live. And I'm yet to find a film character which is fictional, which is more eccentric than him. Whether it's the Grinch or you name it, think of it. Even Barney the dinosaur is not more eccentric than Alexander Sangmore, is it really? He is one in a trillion. And I've said this many times, but I'll say it again. We're very lucky to have him, because he could be a leftist academic professor somewhere in Cambridge or something like that. but instead his moral code won't allow him to do that. Instead, he wants to be an audiobook narrator for the things that will wake people up. He's certainly not always fit for live streams because he's not politically correct enough, is he? But his work is second to none when he produces it. I think he's nearly finished doing one of the Bibles. I think it was the King James Bible. So that people that subscribe to that Bible can listen to it on audiobook when he's finished it, if you're a fan of his book voice and audiobooks. What I will do is I'll go and get the link to his audiobook Practical Idealism, which is on sale on Audible. It's a little bit tough to get through. You might have to replay a couple of chapters to make sense of it, but it's very much worth your time. So here's the link. I go in the chat now, and this book explains the planning of the Great Replacement. Sue, like his chilies. Yeah, for those that didn't see, Alex ate the Carolina Reaper, which is supposedly the hottest chili in the world. I sat there, watched him do it. I played it on screen. He did it in, 5 to 6 minutes? He did that? Something like that. The video is longer, but he was able to sit up and talk, which was impressive. He's a beast with spicy food. I'll give him that. So, not to bore anyone, I'm going to wrap up soon. I'm just going to make my final point on security. I don't really see what it is I'm fighting for at the minute. The country I see. But as far as a movement, I think I'm putting way too much physical and emotional energy into things that are not worth saving. The country's worth saving. The work needs doing. That goes without saying. But why add to your cognitive load when the game and the issue is already so long and hard as it is? So I can't help but ask people to think about taking part in activism and maybe having a voice of your own. Or maybe just speaking out about the issues that might bother you. Audible link says the book isn't available. What? Except, I bet it is available. I bet that's a lie. Alex's politics are bang on. Unsanctioned opinion. Alex's politics are bang on. It's just the issue is, he's a pretty no-nonsense guy. And sometimes it's best that you hide your power levels as opposed to just lay them all out on the table. It's not in your interest to do so. What kind of activism turns people the most to ethno-nationalism, Vin? Ooh, that's a tough one, because when it comes to activism, you've got to then physically do things which awaken them to the real problem, which, as you know, is risky. But the way to do that is you have to make a decision first. Do you do this anonymously or do you do this openly? And how are you going to do it? Are you going to make videos? One of the ways that I'm doing it is showing the clear influence that Antifa and communism has across our city and who owns these buildings, which I don't drop in my videos, but anyone can go and see who owns and who funds all this. So there's plenty of activism you can do which will awaken people in the right reasons. You don't just have to be some sort of, Tommy repeat. And whatever you do, don't sit there for forever making an enemy out of Islam, because, as you know, it's a secondary problem. Islam has no reason to be in the United Kingdom whatsoever. It didn't get here by mistake. There is no military from a Muslim country that can invade the West. Only lobbies, governments, and individuals allow that migration to happen. Stop blaming Muslims for all your problems, because they did not let themselves here. If you would not have allowed it, then stop blaming the secondary problem and start looking at what caused it. Anyway, I wasn't going to stream today. I thought I'd do one because I'm not going to be around for a little while. I think I'm going to work on a couple of bits, as I've been saying. There's not much to be had at the minute out of this current movement. It's a shame. And I suggest everyone tightens their security and thinks about what they can do in the future. You know, there's so much out there that needs doing. There's so many properties, people that need exposing for their crimes and wrongs. And it's all very well just doing the good stuff. But there's many of you out there that would be really good at exposing the bad and making life hard for the enemy. Making life hard for the enemy isn't just having a successful nationalist group. It's making positive steps towards making their life difficult, to making their job harder when it comes to de-whitening our countries and ruining our our cultures indicative of us and our cultures and kin. You need to be proactive to stop evil. Making people aware of it isn't always going to help. You need to show where people are, who people are, what they're doing, who's funding it and how. Many of you could go away, look at an individual project in your local area, make a video and smash it. Send it on, we'll forward it out, we'll put it out, boom, retweet it. There's so many of you out there that see something locally and you know there's something wrong and no one knows about it because you've not told us. Well, maybe you're better than any of us. Maybe you'd be better at this than me or Mark or anyone at sitting here blabbing our mouths. Maybe you really do have that missing option, but you won't know if you just follow. So anyway, I'm going to end it on that note. First, I'm going to put my Telegram page in here and my Twitter. One sec. I'm very disappointed in what I've seen recently. I discussed it in the Defence of the Degenerates. Basically, it was a slap in our face today. Seeing Laura Towler stream with Concord was a clear slap. And I have deep concerns about the security of that organisation going into the future. If whether you're Unwashed or Lucy Brown or Miss Britannia or whatever, you can just waltz your way in. But I'll tell you what, if you've done a lot of hard work, you've kept your nose clean, and you don't ask for a penny, they don't want to know you. Bear with me, I have to go back to my YouTube channel on another page. Hang on. There we go. This is the one. As I said, all I can see at the minute is the climate getting nasty. Vinny, if you have a legitimate concern and good evidence of bad intent, it deserves to be heard. And there's a right way to go about it. Well, I have dropped loads of things, especially across the last year, from Ralph to Unwashed and Lucy Brown and so on and so on. So there's many people here that are fully aware of what I'm talking about. If you're unfamiliar, I'm sorry to hear that, but I only have so much energy to keep re-explaining the obvious. We shouldn't have people that joke about dog shagging. When we request that they got rid of, it shouldn't be difficult to think about it. I shouldn't hear excuses. I shouldn't have to see people promote people that have comedy shows based on paedophilia, or a comedy show at least named sex with children. I don't find that funny. I did speak to Mark. Free speech, and I got told that it wasn't the problem. I spoke to him verbally via voice, and I was told it's not the problem. I said, would you go on record about that? And he told me no. I was very rude when I did it, very obnoxious, but still, because I know what's happened this last year. And like with Tommy Robinson, when they tried to get rid of us, or whoever, whether it's Sky News or whoever, whatever slander or bullshit or Google, whatever you want to do to us, we sit confident because we followed the rules. And when you recruited Antifa members, anti-white leftists and Marxists, we warned you time and time again. This discussion can be had any day of the week. But because I don't think it's going to, I've lost all faith. And after the 12-month mark hit of promoting this organisation, and that's why I feel no guilt. People can't say, oh, Vin, don't be a bitter bitch. Well, no, this is 12 months of me going, yay, go PA. This isn't out of the blue. This is not out of the blue at all. This is 12 months of me keeping my mouth shut time and time again. And that birthday, once that 12-month marker hit, bang, and I looked on the stream and there was these likes of Miss Britannia, and we had suspicions of our own, and so on, and liberals, and this, I just thought, what the you know, there's no point me going into the morality issue again and again. But I looked up to people that didn't have much money in their pocket but followed the rules. I don't think that that's something that's valued elsewhere. There you go. And once again, I'll repeat myself in saying my disappointment and disgust in those individuals that decided to back the wrong side of history. Because in my opinion, there's very little different between you and the people trying to advocate laws abroad. Because if you're going to make allowances for jokes, and bestiality jokes at least, or if not truth, because what I heard was that thing backed up onto him, was what he said with his own words, mouth. If he was joking, then he's got a funny sense of humor, because it didn't sound like it to me. So that one point alone, when I bring people that, if the answer to me is that's not the problem, once again, I repeat yesterday or the day before's notion, you are the problem. In which case I have no interest in sitting down with you, talking to you. I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want to hear about the guy's horrible past. I don't care. There's plenty of victims out there that don't have a show called Sex with Children. End of discussion. I don't care if he was dragged through a forest backwards by 16 coyotes every day of his life. I do not care, right? A degenerate is a danger. That's it. And you do not understand cultural Marxism if you allow it among your ranks. Interesting comment from Gillian here. Because this is the problem, Gillian, the discussion of what we do. And it only makes me feel empty and hollow. It doesn't make me feel good or powerful or clever or strong. It just makes me feel hollow. I don't get a kick out of this at all. I get nothing out of it. And because I don't make a living out of this, because it's a risk to me, I have to think about myself. I have to think, okay, I've been in the public light a little while. I could, am I going to be just swimming along with anything just for the sake of it? Not really. No, I have to think about me. Because other people, as far as I can see, are making I put my eyes on the screen the other night, And it was only on the screen for a short amount of time. And I couldn't believe it. My day's wage was there. And because of lockdown, working for me is next to impossible, right? What with sites changing, like I do a lot of agency work. And I'm looking on here and I'd get about 80, 75, 80 quid a day sometimes, depending on what job I have to do. Really bad, low end wages, because obviously, how can I get a decent job and I have to keep on the move? You might think I'm not known, but trust me, when you're on Google like I am, you suddenly realise you are. And I look at this screen and there's like 70 quid that's just come up, bang, like that, within the first. I think, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. This guy's just made my day's wage in about 30 seconds. Right? I stand about all day for 8 hours sometimes. Yeah. And I thought, I get it now. I know why we have Dangerfield on. I get it now. I know why they've never wanted, like, to repeats of Goddard on, for instance. I know why we're not on there. I get it now. And I'll say no more on that. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I've seen people kill themselves all day. I've seen ground workers work in the rain all day for 80 odd quid. And I really have slept. I can't tell you some places I've slept because that's kind of, but in order to fight liberalism and to fight LGBT, and I live that way, right? And I have to work the worst jobs imaginable, taking shit off arrogant supervisors that if they knew what I could do online and what I could do to them, they'd never talk to me about that. But I just have to take it. And then I look over at the people that I'm supporting whilst living this lifestyle. Can't have a home, can't have a family and all that. And I look, and what do I see? I see support for the very thing that I'm fighting. The very thing that I resent and I was willing to risk everything for, that I gave up my partner and everything for. I look over there to these people that seem to have homes and have it's all fine. And you know what I see? I see a hit piece. Because I look into the left and you know what? I see a fucking hit piece. I go to leftist places. I look into what they are. I look into them. We assess our criminology surrounding the issue, and we strike. Looking in right now, everything, all the bells ringing in my ears are the same ones as when we are investigating East, West, North, or South London Antifa hidey holes. That's the shiver I'm getting up my spine at the minute. Julian said, stay Vin, don't let them. I'm not going anywhere. But I'm not defined by this sort of misbehavior. So if people was to see me do this too often, they'll get me confused and I'm remembered or known as the guy that just pisses and moans. So I'm only so outspoken and was outspoken to do with that organisation and near it because I'm aware of how many nasty enemies there are around it. And we're quite good at keeping an eye out for Antifa. So it's not really in our interest anymore. So if I want to have a fortnight finally, I've basically done this for years on the trot. I never really have a break. Thank you very much, Soz. Thank you very much. Means a lot, mate. You never really have a break. And you genuinely just forget who you are in the end. From the minute I wake up. And I even when I'm not at work, I wake up as if I am. Bang. Up at 7, 8, and that's late. Straight on computers, seeing what's going on, boom, 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 up until 11, 12. That's every single day. There is no family. There is no nothing. Nothing. That's it. So we are pretty good at what we do, even if our shadow ban and our lack of ability to have a high reach would convince you otherwise. But anyone that knows. Any organisation out there that knows us knows. And this is why people clamp up when we start talking. Because we can all play Billy Big Bollocks, right? But experience and knowledge shines, and guilt shines. The same guilt that I remember gleaming from Tommy Robinson is glistening from the LARPers. And this never had to happen. None of it. The days of me arguing with Sibnats on behalf of this, arguing with people that were threatening people. And for what? Because I tell you what, to get near me or us, you have to go through an induction, right? And even then, it's difficult. You're going to get monitored. You're going to get spoke to. It's going to take you a long time. It's going to be very irritating for you. You're going to go through a 17-minute video. This video is me boring, telling you all the risks. And most of the time, people say, yeah, this isn't for me by the end of the video. Because we treat it like an army advert. These are the risks. These are the problems. Are you involved? I cannot be held responsible if X, Y, and Z happens to you because you have had your warning. Do you agree at the end? Boom. Okay. These are basic requirements I've not seen. I've spoken to these individuals that run these organizations. You know what I get? That they have not got a clue. They don't know what the other ones say. Either I'm being lied to, right? Either I'm being lied to, or they don't speak and they've got no communication. There's no decent admins. There's no security intel whatsoever. So they're not taking people on whose jobs are only to look out for safety and security. You cannot do everything alone. I cannot do what I do alone. I have eyes and ears everywhere. That series, Game of Thrones, right? If I had known when I was watching this one scene, Varys was in the garden with, I can't remember who he was with. No, it wasn't Varys. It was, who was the Irish guy? Littlefinger, right? And he was walking around and he was pointing at all these people and he said, that one's the Queen's, that one's Varys's, and that one's mine. And he was basically saying everyone is owned by someone. And I get it now. I get it now. It is so true. Because my eyes and ears are in way more places than people want to admit. And we see what people say. And we see when they defend degeneracy. And they don't know that we see it. Because there's more grasses in their camps they understand. Because people that have worked with us for a long time understand. It's just in their interest. So from what we're seeing, if we were to start asking questions in the same way that I've walked up to Paul Sillett or multiple Antifa members, I could pull up another 1 or 2 videos if I wanted to. I'm pretty confident I wouldn't get any decent answers. I think people need to fix their security. Just reading some of these comments. I've not been reading any comments. I'm sorry. I just rant, don't I? I just go on and on. Colette is a moderator on Dangerfield. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Seeing Laura on that stream today. Yeah. Disappointed. I'm very disappointed. And I'd always hoped that if this did come to pass, people wouldn't have to learn the hard way. And I said to Concord, I said to the Dog Shagger, I said to Mark, I said, you seriously confused us with other groups that you find irritating. You'll find that things will change within a matter of days. Anyway, I think I've said enough. And now I will go and take my leave. I do have some projects to do, so I'm not going to go completely missing. But if you allow this to swallow you up, put it this way, if I don't have a break, this time in a week, there'll be some reason that everyone turns on me. Because that's the nature of the political climate at the minute. I've seen this happen time and time again. And when everyone is at each other's throats like this, and you might think, oh, well, you did this, Vin. No, no, no. I raised serious moral issues. And I'm very disappointed with the names that I've seen defend it. Yes, David, I agree. And I think law is far better than that. And I think there is this anti-working class attitude. I saw an interesting status from Iconoclast, and I hope he didn't mean what I felt like he meant, but it said, even if we got rid of degenerates and Marxists, we would still have chavs. And then he went on to say that he would shoot them all dead, or shoot them all at least. And I just don't know. A degenerate's worse than a chav for me. A chav's subjective as well. So I would be interested in a secondary tweet or wherever I saw it, whatever platform it was on, to explain that, because degenerate is also subjective. So what was that meant to me? Are people resentful that Concord is no longer confident? That Concord learnt the hard way? Interesting. And I'm not going to, I mean, this is a risk, right? Because people think that there's some connection here, but it's not the case. But I do have to give credit where it's due. An account called Groiper Boy, or something like that, Super Groiper Boy, was the one that went and found this information on Miss Britannia. And I've said my bit on it, so it's up to you if you think it's true. But if you'd had us screaming in your ear for a year about Ralph, Lucy, Voodoo Media, Unwashed, blah, 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 would you have listened to us? Would you? Would you have given us the credit, the time of day? Would you have thought, yeah, these guys have been around a bit, we'll listen to them? Would you listen to the guy that got stabbed in the head the day that Lucy Brown was there and Antifa found us? At least, is like, I was there, I saw it, I know that Antifa found us, and you still don't want to know. Voodoo Media claims that Al's a necrophiliac and I'm a pedo, and you won't kick him out because he makes good videos, and you only kick him out when he turns on you. I should have lost my temper back then. I should have turned up to ask them why they allowed that to happen back then. I shouldn't have forgiven time and time again. When Lucy Brown, a woman who put my friends in the paper and her little stupid Twitter saying, let's get them arrested. And when I take this to these middle class yuppies, they don't care. Because these men in their 40s and 50s from these firms, they don't care about them. They don't have a following. They can't get money out of them. They can't get them on a stream. But I care about them. I cared about them when Tommy didn't back them up. I care about them because they've only got a fiver in their back pocket. I should have written them off then. When I went to them and said, Lucy Brown is a complete wrong and look what she's done to all these innocents. You know what I got? Oh, well. Tap, tap, Vinny. Well done for the info. Thank you very much. You ain't getting it ever again. I'll tell you that. And you won't hear anyone deny this. Not from the camp I'm talking about anyway. Not publicly. Not from the names that matter. So anyway, does anyone have any fundamentally huge questions for me before I make my conclusion? Is there any massive, difficult question you want to ask me on this, as opposed to me sitting here having a one-sided opinion? Because I offer discussion to people, they're not interested. And if they come to me now, they can piss right off, because it shouldn't take this long. Also, Jason Latte completely shat himself, and then he deleted the inboxes that he put in his status. He'd sent to Alex. He said, check your inbox, Alex. Alex checks his inbox. He's deleted his inboxes. All right? Okay. I'm done here. Next thing you know, we're going to see, we'll see Stormzy steaming in. We're going to have that ginger folk singer Pratt. He'll turn up, and we're basically going to look like some sort of Jeremy Corbyn house party. Not for me. No thanks. No chance. So, okay. Listen and watched out for unwatched reactions when you accused him and noticed his... Well, this is it, Denny. Thank you. Honestly, mate, thank you very much, because I've been pulling my hair out. I grew up working in warehouses, building sites, and dealing with high-end offices. So we used to sell high-end office furniture and second-hand. I used to deal with everything from multi-million pound offices where people were on thousands of pounds a week to grotty little taxi offices, and we had warehouses all over. My game and my business was people, reading people in their eyes and how they behave. And I could never reenact the things I learned without being in all those places, and nothing taught me anything like hardships and difficult times and long arduous days that I would have rather not done. But once you've done them, you've gained a true power from them. And I just don't get the impression that this is what we're looking up to anymore. We're looking up to the likes of utter scumbags who, they're not going to sit there and tell you to exercise or tell you anything decent about history. They're going to sit there in a disgusting sexual rage, as it were, pleasing their own endorphins about getting sexual guilt off their chest. How do you think that person feels when he's sitting there telling dark, deviant stories? They don't tell it because they're embarrassed. They tell it because it gets them off. And you sitting there listening to it is disgusting. A murderer quite often cannot help but come and return to the scene to look at his crime. It's no different than a sadist pervert. He cannot help but drop hints or make out he thinks it's funny. Well, let me tell you, ladies and gents, rape victims don't find that shit funny. And they would not find Dangerfield funny. Nor would anyone I know. And Dangerfield, mate, if you come home, good. I'd rather be me than you explaining that to people. I really would. The British people are genuinely tired of this agenda, and that's why I can't help but just think, you know what, Vin, you need a couple of weeks off this, because the movement here, what is there? I look to my left, looks like Vice magazine. I look to my right, there's a bunch of civnats. Everyone's trying to dismantle James when he's the only other civnat out there. FNAT out there, activist apart from me. So the advocation is, let's get rid of James. Let's find any excuse to get rid of James. But then why? Just so it's only going to make my life harder. As selfish as that sounds, it will. There's going to be one activist left. They'll get rid of me, and then that'll be it. So let's have a word. I need more of you. I need your help, ladies and gents. I need you to to be those people, to be that man, to be that woman, to come up with that plan, that idea. And if you want to do the same things as me, I'm not going to accuse you of copying me. Even if you want to start exposing far left organizations, unions, show how much money's pumped into these buildings, into their societies and hostels, you'll be interested in some of the places I'm going to visit soon. I can't tell you because they'll know I'm coming, but they're revolting. But there's loads you can do to expose this, and it will really help, because the more of us doing it, the less likely it is that individuals will just go. And everyone's so desperate to get rid of people that matter when it comes to being outspoken. Being outspoken. The likes of those prats over there that sit on the streams without shirts on, they're not even in the country. I don't give a toss. As far as I understand, Jake's, people were smoking in pubs the last time that dickhead saw this country, or his country. Just to put that into perspective. I think I was still in school or something like that. No, probably not. Still, long time ago. Start your own party if you think you can do better than PA. I could. Which my video will show. My video will show that if I wanted to, I could virtually put hundreds of people on the ground. Not laugh about it, not have to meet in back alleys, not all hide our faces. And that's why I wouldn't start a political party. Because I know what I can do. I'm not blowing my trumpet. I've done it. I've been out loads of times with loads of people. If I want to get people on the ground, I can. And when I play this outro video, it's just a nice little outro video of me and some of my mates. You'll see what I mean. You'll see there's loads of us. It's not about being the big man or being a politician or wanting to be Tommy Robinson, for instance, or wanting to be the leader. It's quite the opposite of what I want. I quite want to go to a normal life. I'd quite like so many activists out there that I can one day slip out and just teach people what I've learned and so on, and I can have a family of my own. I haven't started my life. I don't want to be a prime minister. I don't want to be a multi-millionaire. Keep it. I don't want to be a leader of any party. I know I could do a better job because I can see that quite easily. And anyone that says, no, you couldn't, well, you're entitled to your opinion. But if you can't have confidence in yourself, who are you going to have confidence in? So one of the biggest things about learning to be a nationalist is trying to get things right and never allowing self-doubt into your mind. So you can't obviously just think you're right about everything, even if you're getting facts wrong, but you have to learn the medium of, if you know you're correct, hell or high water, don't allow any amount of peer pressure, social engineering, or so-called leaders just because of influence to make you feel like you're wrong. If there's 10 people in the room going, no, white people are evil, don't stand there and nod. Wait for them all to finish and go, no, they're not. And have confidence in yourself. And that's why I say the things I do. Not because I'm arrogant, because I'm done counting myself out. Other people have wanted us to doubt ourselves for a long time. Which is why we depend on all these leaders. And yes, we certainly need a political party. We do. And I don't think I deserve to be a politician. I don't. Not with, I don't know, I was just a normal bloke growing up. And as I've said many times, I used to, ganja smoker, chasing birds, bit of gear here and there back in the past. I was a normal civvy. So I don't personally think I deserve to be a politician. And I've learned a lot about people that think they do. There are people out there that we should support and we should back and should be in office, and I would support them. And I am not here to say that's me, because I'm not, because I don't deserve it. My government deserves better than a man who's shagged loads of birds or, had pub fights or whatever. My number 10 Downing Street deserves better than how I have behaved. Because I want it to be bigger than me. I want it to be bigger than that. So it's not about me. It's about us, this country, and that place. And I would have supported everything like I have the last 12 months, but I cannot support this dog-shagging, liberal, weirdo, feminist, bloody Zionist thing that we're seeing co-opt the only thing I had any hope in. All you need to do is Google me if you doubt that there's loads of us and we've made an effort. Thank you very much, Woody. I'd vote for me too. You know what? I wouldn't. I'd vote for the other guy. No, actually, I'd vote for me. Do you know what I'd do? I'd ship in a load of migrants just to vote for me. That's what I'd do. No, that's not how it works. Denny says, your PA if you say so. No, it's not quite like that. I wanted it to be their child and grow it into a beautiful thing, into a beautiful beanstalk. And I wanted it to be this power horse that made my life really safe, because it's so big that the likes of me are just not as worrying. But the captain says, who would you support? I just don't know. I've seen so much. Even when I was at a Turning Point UK event, I learned to hate them. I saw Nigel Farage surrounded by Jews, and I just stood there, and he snubbed me in person. He wouldn't shake my hand because he knew who I was. He knows I won't take the pound note, so I'm no good. And he knew I was stood there. I was glaring at him because he was my hero. And there he was. I walked up to him, and he looked up at me, and instead of just shaking my hand, he dropped his cigarette box. And you'll always remember, he'd know bloody well, if he ever heard me say this, he knows bloody well. He did this. He dropped his cigarette box to avoid shaking my hand, picked it up off the floor, and walked off. So he looked me in the eyes for about fraction of a second, long enough for it to be slightly awkward, drops his cigarettes, but not his lighter, by the way. So it's almost as if specific fingers in his hand let go of the cigarette box. And I stood there for the first time in my nationalist career and was stumped, like a disappointed teenager for the first time. I've ignored everyone. What's his name? That McGuinness bloke from America. I used to ignore Sargon when I stood next to him. I ignored all of them. But when Farage snubbed me, I stood there and I went, Nigel. And he didn't turn around. I said, Nigel. I was so shocked. Like, Nigel, no, you can't be walking. I've waited so long. And he was there. And he wouldn't shake my hand. And I was so shocked that when he turned around and he walked away, like it could just come out of my mouth. Like, I couldn't help it. I went, Nigel. But he didn't turn around. And I thought, it's up to us. Our hero, like we can't rely on anyone else. He knew exactly who I was because you would have shook my hand. You wouldn't ignore me. You wouldn't ignore me saying. And only a month previous, I'd argued with Owen Jones outside the very Brexit party event he was speaking at in West London, I think it was. So he knew exactly who I was. It broke my heart for a second. And then I watched the Englishman that I'd looked up to for years walk away. And then, bang, my eyes turned straight to the left to the American who had visited the country. What was his name? Was that guy from Turning Point UK? The American dickhead. Ah, fuck's sake, what's his name again? What's the guy's name, everyone, that runs Turning Point UK USA? Charlie Kirk. That's it. Well done, Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk, the person who was with me, had caught on their phone looking at me consistently throughout the dinner, because I said, that's ridiculous. Of course not. They're not going to recognize me. They come all the way from America. But then they caught them on their phone. And then we realized that Janaea, a Lucy Brown asset, was around their table, which, by the way, would have been about £3,000 to be there. So these leftist assets were walking up to Nigel and to Charlie Kirk and going, by the way, there's some sort of far-right football hooligan over there. Because Charlie Kirk was leaning back in his chair, looking at me like I was something out of a film. You could just see it. He was just... And he was so bone idle that I kept catching him. And I thought, what is this? And I thought, because obviously I'm not so self-entitled that I thought he'd know who I am. But when I saw Janaea, I thought, I see what's happened there. Because she doesn't like me. Because she thinks I'm a transphobe racist. Right, okay, whatever. I did walk up to Charlie and shake his hand very firmly. And I said, welcome to our country. How can I help you? Is what I said. I don't like Charlie Kirk. And if I knew more at the time, I would have told him to piss off. I did not know that he said America isn't a country. And when the end of his shit speech happened, which was boring and the basics of socialism, a Jewish chap jumps up to patronize us all at the end for no reason. Turning Point UK is a joke. I hear Ricky Doolan's joined it now. I don't know if that's true. If anyone's got any information on that before we start making closing statements. Anyone know if that's true about Ricky Doolan? I hear he's a pastor now. I don't mean the Italian kind. I mean the religious kind. Yeah, I still struggle to talk bad about Nigel. I forgave him for doing it because I don't define the right. I don't define nationalism. If you don't like me, so what? As long as you love your country. So I forgave him, but as time went on, I had to conclude that he had no reason to snub me like that, really. Anyone like him would know I'd have looked up to him. Stood there in my suit, you know, all done up, turned up, paid me ticket, come in, my chance to shake his hand. Snub me. Listened to him for years. Part of the reason I got off my feet. Fuck you, Nigel. Next time I see you, I'll ask you. No, it's not quite like that, John. I'm being very honest and frank with the public. It's not so much being a crybaby as telling you honestly what my interactions with these people are like. I could say, yeah, I met Nigel Farage, it was great. Or I could tell you, no, actually, he snubbed me. And I looked up to him for years. Because everyone else, I wouldn't give a toss. You wouldn't see me walking up to anyone and shaking their hand. Well, I would, but you know what I mean? I've stood next to loads of so-called e-celebrities or celebrities and never even looked at them. But this is Nigel we're talking about. And I thought, do you know what? Once I'd got out the door, it snapped me in the head that it's not you, Vin. These people are not to be trusted. Because he's looking at me and he knows I'm not making any money out of this. So therefore, everything I am is a risk. I don't have the same investments in this. You get nothing out of talking to me, being seen with me. Being snapped on a photo with me is more of a risk to him than he needs. I stood there and said to Owen Jones outside of his event, you had a KGB editor working in The Guardian. And Owen Jones stumbled and he said, okay, I'll go and research my KGB editor. And I said, you don't need to. You know full well what I'm talking about. And sort of done him up like a kipper because he was there trying to be clever. And he had multiple people's videos taken down for that video, which is still up. It's on my channel and others. After that, by the way, I steamed into Femi and started asking him if he was paid by George Soros or the Open Source Foundation via Best for Britain, which he didn't want to answer me either. I was very abrupt in that, so I am sorry to those out there that think I was rude. But I'd seen him be so rude about people and Brexiteers went on the TV that I thought I was going to give him a little bit back. I was probably a bit too abrasive with Owen Jones. I shouldn't have been so assertive, but he turned up in this flippant manner with this massive microphone, going around, waving it around at all of the people that had turned up. And I thought, you dickhead. I could go and get one of these videos before we have our closing. Does anyone want to see the Femi or the Owen video? You're only going to see one or the other. So let's have a 1 for Owen, 2 for Femi. Mind you, I'm not going to be able to count these, am I? Which one? Oh, both 1. Well, that doesn't make sense, Viking. Oh, 2 for Femi there. So, what am I even doing? I'm not going to be able to count these. Oh, yeah, I did, Femi. I did on a little while ago. That's right. So I'll do Owen. Right, okay, fair enough. And once again, I'm really sorry about my presentation in this. I'm going to go find it, so bear with me. Owen is even more unimpressive in person than he is on the TV, by the way. Where was it? God, it was ages ago. That's a great one as well, the Socialist book. You know what? I might play that. I think I'm going to play that. The day I went back to the Socialist bookshop that attacked us. What was I looking at? Me and Owen, that's it. I genuinely would lose my head if I could. There's plenty of leftists out there saying, you will yet, mate. You will yet. Here we go.
I'm here talking to you. You was trying me at one time from me. So you know exactly getting eyes from me. So.
Okay, so share screen. Now, I was very arrogant with him, and he had blocked me multiple times on Twitter and had tagged me and called me a Nazi and all this stuff with Antifa people. So I knew he knew who I was. So I'm here saying, you know, bloody well who I am. So you're thinking, why would he know who you are, Vin? I know who he is because I've spoke to him on Twitter. And he was calling me a Nazi. So he must have assessed my face and thought that he knew me well enough to call... Oh, shit. Did I put the sound on for this? I better check. Let me make sure. I'm going to stop. Share screen. Share audio. Owen Jones.
He's offered you for a debate numerous times. Vinny Sullivan from the Reality Report. He has offered you numerous times. Who's paying you, Jones?
No, you're not.
You're here to what's your actual position? Who's paying your wages? What are you doing? Have you got an ex-KGB editor? No. A KGB editor? You think I'm Google it. Okay. I'll look up my KGB editors. I promise. You don't need to. You know full well. No, I work for the KGB editors.
Oh, and do you like
Hey, you're really on camera, bro. You're really on camera. Look at it.
First of all, expose myself.
I'm sorry to tell you. Thanks to people like you. Democracy. Democracy's going down the plug, old thanks.
You'll notice that I've got my hands behind my back. Now, there's something that Owen does, and I personally felt that it was him telling security he didn't feel safe, and it was this moment here.
Owen?
You see, he was either saying to me one of two things. That he knew that I knew when he touched his nose, because he's referring to the nose. Or that was a signal to people around, a security signal, that he feels physically unsafe. It wasn't an accident. He didn't just touch his nose for no reason.
Do you like
So he could have easily, if I was wrong, he could have turned around and made an idiot, absolute idiot out of me, couldn't he? If they didn't have an ex-KGB editor, he could have stood there and laughed me off. But instead, he's walked off and started, I go, where you going, mate? Where you going? All right, but you can't. I had my hands behind my back because they will do everything in their power to say, look how imposing, or blah, 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 or it looked like he was going to hit him. You have to always think about your physical demeanor when dealing with these people. Anyway, we're going to wrap up in just a moment. And I thank everyone for joining me. Telegram is in the description of the video. And we'll be finishing on this because I think other people are about to start streaming in about 5 minutes. Can't remember. I think it's Ayatollah or someone. I can't remember. So thank you all very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Sorry if I've rambled too much at any point, and maybe we'll be back with another one soon. But I think I could probably do with a little bit of quiet, to be honest, because if you're interested in genuine work, the LARPers aren't interested in you. So I will take interest in those that are. And I respect all of you that have kept your moral code intact. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Possible ID on one of Mal's is Vinny Sullivan. Sorry, if you could.
a look at you for the old bill? Yeah. All right.
It's about time these commie bastards had a good idea of what the will of the British people is with Brexit. All right, that's about it for now. Alexander Sangmore over and out. Toodles for now, gentlemen.
It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.
Two hours, Celtic One sets up. They're now leading the possible ID on one of Wales is Vinnie Sullivan. Sorry, you good.
I'm lucky for you. For the old bill? Yeah. All right.
Think for yourself, ladies and gents.